are live with our next panel discussion. We have Joao again with us. He was also participating in our last European Blockchain Convention. And then we have Paul, Nina, new participants of the European Blockchain Convention. Welcome to the three of you. I'm very glad to see you. And Paul, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the European Blockchain Convention panel, where we'll be discussing public and private sector collaboration in the blockchain space. I'll be the moderator this afternoon, and I'm from the interest group Blockchain Ireland, and I'm a journalist and presenter in the technology space for more than 20 years. So our topic this afternoon is around public and private sector collaboration in the blockchain space. So every day, more and more governments join the race to pass legislation and commence pilot projects centered around blockchain technology. Governments can leverage blockchain technology to provide cybersecurity, process optimization, and integrate hyperconnected services whilst bolstering trust and accountability. And within that context, there are a number of areas of collaboration whereby governments can provide infrastructure and base projects with which the private sector can combine services, all to the benefits of European citizens. So here to discuss that with us are two leading experts. We have Nina Dokuzov of the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology in Slovenia, and Joao Rodriguez Frade, Head of Sector of Building Blocks with the European Commission. So Nina is Head of Project Group, New Economy and Blockchain Technologies with the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology in Slovenia. Nina is an experienced Centre Director working across public sector administration with expertise in policy, analytics, government, strategic planning and marketing strategy. Joao is a Bachelor of Economics with a master's degree in Information Systems and Technology Management, who has worked on development, implementation, deployment, and evolution of the most important large-scale distributed trans-European systems of the European Union. He's an experienced enterprise architect, specializing in large, complex projects with a decade in management positions, consulting, and project management. And his sector is responsible for the implementation of European blockchain services and infrastructure. So welcome to you both, and thank you very much for joining us. So to set a context for the discussion, it might be useful to just set out some of the key features of blockchain and distributed ledger technologies that lend themselves for use in public service applications. So maybe, Joao, do you want to take that one first in terms of the specific aspects of these technologies that are so interesting and promising for new public services?
So good afternoon, Paul. Can you hear me well? That's always the first question back.
Always worth checking.
I'm going to answer that question having in mind the European blockchain services infrastructure that you just mentioned. We normally call it EBSI or EBSI. And the first idea there is that governments, as you might know, issue a lot of documents. And typically, we issue those documents to citizens and businesses. And then those citizens and businesses have to use those documents to carry out, a number of things in their lives. Like when you get married, or when you have a child, or you set up a business, you typically have to provide those documents as evidence of who you are, what kind of profession you have, and things like this. So the idea that we are exploring with the BSI is to turn these type of documents into something that is commonly known as verifiable credentials or verifiable attestations supported by blockchain. And that means that in the future, these documents, as they become digital, they will be verifiable through blockchain. And this is actually, I would say, the most important feature for us at this point in time, which is actually to use blockchain as a single point of truth, but still in a distributed fashion, not centralized like before, and also respecting data privacy. So that's for us very important, because with blockchain, you can use the hash of a document, this hashing function that transforms anything into a verifiable code, and you don't need to keep, of course, the documents themselves on the blockchain. The documents are kept with the citizen or with the business on something that we call the digital wallet, and then you can use through cryptography these mechanisms to verify the authenticity and the integrity of the document, making, of course, the transaction much more reliable and trustworthy. And for governments, this is extremely important as we move from, let's say, paper to digital, and everyone now is working remotely, and of course wants to provide evidence in a very convenient way, online, without needing to travel to get those documents and then present them somewhere else. So this is why the Commission is involved in all this. So we are helping the member states to set up and participate in the EBSI, because we believe a lot in the cross-border idea. So you can set up a business not only in your member state, in some other member state, you can go live and study somewhere else. This is why we are working as European Commission on blockchain, and specifically in the European blockchain services infrastructure.
Very good. There's a number of kind of key points there, I think, that we can follow up on. So thank you very much for that. Nina, from your perspective then, and the governmental aspects in particular, what are the key advantages with the technologies that you see that you've been able to leverage? And I know you have a specific healthcare experience in implementation.
Yeah, thank you very much. I agree with all that Joao said before, because our motivation, either on the government side and on the European blockchain partnership side, because I have to mention that we started to develop this European blockchain services infrastructure within the network between member states and European Commission. This is a really unique network, and this is called European Blockchain Partnership. The policy group is taking care of policy and strategic issues. The technical group is taking care of technical issues on EBSI or EBSI, like Joao said. And then we have a certain services or use cases that can be used. And what is from the governmental point of view very important? First, the safety and security of the transactions can be very high on blockchain. Second, originality. We can put the original file and then trace the file through the time and have very high historical data. And this is very valuable because we are trying to minimize, for example, the paper documents, and we are trying to shift to digital, but we need to have a traceable documentation so that we can follow this and also share with the other institutions and the other partners. The third thing is what we are developing here is, for example, digital identity or self-sovereign identity. The technology here is very important because on one hand, it fulfills that social value proposition. It keeps the authenticity and autonomy of the human beings and the participants or stakeholders here in the center of the technology. On the other hand, this is democratic technology that is going through the process of voting, confirmation of cooperation of the nodes, and so on. So it is specific from this point of view, but there still is a challenge. We are facing the challenge because the technology is still very not mature, very young. So it is the really challenge how to ensure the broader implication of the technology itself. We now, for example, as Slovenia, we are going to open the node for EBSI, but we before we completely assimilate the technology within, we will need to upgrade our skills on the technology, on what the performance it is, how we can use this, and also how we can train the other ministries, for example, or how we can communicate with cross-border ministries as well on the European level. Here is also the challenge of the legislation, because we are developing on one hand standards, on the other hand the legislation for certain areas of intervention. For example, we now have in Europe the whole package of digital finance that would be very relevant for the government, for the financial sector, and also for the retail and for the citizens. So here we can expect a really huge revolution in the interaction between governmental sector and also the private sector as well. But yeah, in Slovenia, we here started to develop this very soon, and the cooperation between private sector and public sector is very strong. I will tell about this a little bit later. But yeah, the technology is very important, and while it enables paperless and also trustful communication and transfer, it is very important also for the government and for the data that we are collecting here and transferring to the citizens.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. And just a reminder to the audience that you have the ability to ask questions, but we would also encourage you to give us your insights and comments as well. I'm sure a lot of people have experience out there in terms of working with these technologies. So please do feel free to share your experiences as well as ask questions. But we have a few other questions here just in terms of setting context for the conversation, but please do get involved. We want this to be as interactive as possible. But maturity was something that you mentioned there, Nina. And is there or are there any examples of mature implementations of blockchain and DLT in public service settings? So I know that your own department has been active for a number of years. So what are the mature implementations out there that maybe we could learn from in terms of structures and frameworks for other possible services?
Maybe the most mature, because it is not only on blockchain, but it is also with the other technologies, is trying to find or to implement digital identity solutions, and we are now in the phase that we are going to test the self-sovereign identity use case, so that it will enrich also the usage of blockchain. But in any case, we have some very strong private mature solutions that are helping us to create the orientations, the guidelines, how to use blockchain for the practical implementation. So in Slovenia, we really started very early in 2017. We started with strengthening the ecosystem, and then we somehow connected the business part, the research part, and also the governmental part. And the government was very supportive. We created, for example, the action plan where we identified the areas that where blockchain can be used as one of the main or key digital technologies. And what we found out that some certain use cases were developed here, and they are still growing, and they didn't reach the maximum yet. But in any case, I would like to just point out maybe our first national blockchain service infrastructure, that is C-Chain, and it is quite mature now. We are okay in the testing period, but we can test here certain private use cases like digital identity, like notarization, like e-delivery service, or something similar. Then we have in Slovenia one of the maybe broadest implementation of blockchain with payments. It's called Eligma This is the company that has a very rich track record and very good in the development of that use cases on blockchain. For example, we had IRIO network, which was on the health area, was very advanced. For example, they provided the solutions for asylum seekers and asylum camps, providing them medicines and so on. We have company Origin Trail for traceability of resources of in the agriculture. Also, Sun Contract is a marketplace or a platform for exchanging energy and creating the energy from renewables. We have here one of the most mature Viberate project that is on the musician side, providing them access to musicians, to the festivals, to DJs, providing content. And also we have strong alliances. For example, here we have Blockchain Alliance Europe that is acting in Slovenia like a strong connector. And some cases like this are building that ecosystem and are contributing also to the solutions for the government. In the next period, I hope that it will be used more, to be developed also for the governmental usage. Maybe I forgot somebody from Slovenia, but
well, that's quite a list. So, yeah. So thank you. But I'm just seeing here that there's quite a few questions coming in. So Joao, if I could just get you to comment briefly on some of the mature examples that have caught your eye, and then we'll jump straight into the questions because there's a number coming in there already. So Joao,
I will quickly touch upon the diploma use case of EBSI. We are working with a number of member states on the professional qualifications use case, which means that you will be able to share your diploma with an employer or another university, and that will be verifiable. And we have seen a lot of interest around that one, and there are many good examples.
Very good, very good. Okay, well, the first question has come in. Marta is asking Joao, what's the status on EBSI? So I presume in terms of availability, readiness, that sort of thing.
Very quickly, EBSI started with version 1, which was let's say a demonstration version with the member states. We reached, I'm looking at it now, 29 nodes across Europe. In EBSI version 1, and we are now upgrading those nodes into a pre-production environment, and soon will be in full production. So this year EBSI will be in full production with the use cases that we just heard about. So we have the self-sovereign identity, we have the diploma, we have notarization, and we are working on several other use cases with different DGs. We have also data sharing use case with the TaxUD, the taxation and the customs union director general. We are working on the social security use case with the DG Emploi. So we have many use cases coming up, and therefore, yeah, we hope to, let's say, slowly and surely, of course, take the infrastructure to fully operational mode, and then each one of the use cases will have their own roadmap, and that will depend on the what we call early adopters program that we are running. And if you want to know more, you can go online and you can, of course, get in touch with us.
Okay, thank you very much for that, and thank you, Marta. Stefan then is asking, how should government increase trust in DLT without adding necessary services? There is no trust without proof, and he cites the NIST 800-207. So I don't know who would like to come to that first. Is it down to governments to try and establish trust in these technologies, or is it better to sort of show how the services can be delivered and let the services speak for themselves, as it were? Joao, maybe do you want to take that one first?
I will let Nina give some of the good examples, but my own experience is, of course, that the trust aspect, and so seeing is believing in a way, right? What I would say is that I would encourage everyone to have a look at our EBSI homepage on CEF Digital, and you can see all the work that we are doing with the member states, and the belief is there, and also concrete deliverables are there that people will be able to use, and that will, in my opinion, create really the adoption that we are hoping to see in the future.
Very good. Well, Nina, from the extensive list of examples you gave, then is trust emerging from those examples?
Yeah, this is really the challenge also for other digital technologies. But if we go first to increase trust, we need a kind of legal certainty that the data of the people will not be abused or misused in some other way. Then we need technological certainty that this will enable supporting to support the processes that are flowing from or are being implemented from government to people, so government to community. And the third thing is if we enclose the technology closer to people so that they can be sure that their data, they own the data which is their ownership and it is not abused in any way, then we have that trust in technology and also in blockchain. Okay. This is very important. So the government should give very clear message that this is technologically and legally also safe and secure to be implemented for the transactions and for the communication.
Okay, thank you. Then from Stanislav, he's asking of Nina, what do you think helped Slovenia to advance in this BCT field compared to other member states? And he's referencing obviously the country's size, government attitude to innovation, things like that. So what is that special formula, I suppose, to allow you to become a leader?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I think all that country size, it's important because smaller you are, then more identified people who are working on this you have. Then government attitude to innovation, it was very important from the beginning because the government was one of the 4 very strong pillars developing that blockchain ecosystem in Slovenia. The third thing is that we have a lot of skilled persons, developers, programmers that had an opportunity to try to go to the entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship way, and this was very important because on the other hand, in the period of ICOs, it was a motivation how to access to market as well. So it was another target area for accessing to market, and this is what we are very proud of them. And the fourth thing is that it was developed from practice. It was not brought from the academia down, but it was developed from practice. So the effect of mass development was quite strong at the beginning in Slovenia, and it is still, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm actually going to jump ahead a little bit because there's a question here just around privacy and GDPR, which feeds very well back into the example that both of you were talking about in terms of self-sovereign identity. So Stefan is asking, how should DLT support privacy while it's not GDPR compliant? And he cites Articles 17 and 20. So I suppose the privacy and privacy and data protection is always going to come back into these things. So specifically in light of GDPR, how is that to be handled with these technologies? Joao, do you want to take that one first?
Yes, so I will be brief because we could discuss this for hours.
Indeed, and I know that we're coming near the end of our slot, so I want to get as many questions as we can.
But I believe that the most important message is that we are addressing that not as blockchain as a whole, but use case per use case. So it means that we need to look at the diploma use case, then we need to look at the social security use case, then we need to look. So we look at each one of the use cases, and then we have to make decisions on the best way to use blockchain for verification purposes to support that use case without ever, again, without ever questioning the data privacy of the citizen, or let's say the legal person, which is the business. So we are, of course, being very careful, and we are analyzing this thoroughly in EBSI, and every use case is subject to a very, let's say, specific analysis. So we cannot just talk about blockchain. We talk about diploma on blockchain. We talk about, so that's the idea.
Okay, thank you. Nina, do you want to comment on the GDPR aspect?
Yeah, maybe we decided to put on to take the approach to take into account EIDAS, and to have on blockchain a limited number of data that should be in compliance with EIDAS regulations. So what cannot be put, or what is critical to be put on blockchain, better not to be put on blockchain, not to be countering that EIDAS regulation. Yeah, and this is the truth that Joao was explaining case by case, but on general, EBSI is respecting through EIDAS the solutions on blockchain.
Okay, thank you. And just Stanislav has come back and said, I think an interesting read could be this position paper, and it's sovereign.org GDPR position paper. So hopefully we'll be able to share that out to the audience members, because it's probably shedding a bit of light on that. I'll just, we've got about a minute left, so I'll just go back into another question there. Claudia says, it is great that the blockchain will bring simplification, less paperwork and bureaucracy. It can dramatically reduce the public budget deficit in many countries. However, she says, I don't know if it will be very welcome in countries with high dependence on public employment, and it will probably impact on unemployment. What is your opinion? So I think that's an interesting point. If countries where there is very high public sector employment, will blockchain have an impact there? What's your thoughts, Nina? I think you're probably best placed to answer that one first.
Yeah, I think that it will affect public employment or public employees, but in a positive way, so that they can concentrate more on content and less on papers. And this is very important, because now we know that we are in some moments of time concentrating on papers, on creating papers, or manipulating with this. And when we introduce blockchain, for example, I will give you just concrete thing. When we have EU funding, okay, that European cohesion policy funding, we have a lot of the people in audits and controls unit that are checking all the invoices, and they are verifying this and everything. When we have blockchain technology here, all the work with this, with automatic verification, with the smart contracts, with the process that will smoothly go, they will be, it will move that bureaucratic burden, and they will be able to concentrate on the content, onto what, because the focus of the public administration is also to participating and co-creating policy. So we can here, on the other hand, strengthen the other types of work that will be more contentful and less bureaucratic.
Very good. Okay, Joao, if I could just get a final brief comment from you, because unfortunately we're up against time.
Just to say that I agree. I mean, reduce red tape. We don't need more of that, and we need to add value as governments, and that's what we are trying to do every day. And I hope that EBSI contributes to this I'd say, main purpose. And in case you want to know more, as I said, there's a lot to read on CEF Digital as well. So go there and we keep in touch.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we had many more questions that we could possibly have got through in our time slot. So thank you very much to the audience. But thank you to Nina and Joao. That's incredibly insightful stuff, and as evidenced by the amount of questions that we've got and the great comments. So thank you very much to everybody for attending. Thank you to our panelists, and I will hand back to our producers for the rest of the event. Thank you very much.